SatNaving Life is proudly sponsored by Pro Training Courses, a top health and safety provider offering everything from mental health first aid response to resilience and breathwork training, and other health and safety training courses like Safe Pass, fire safety and manual handling. They tailor programs for corporate businesses, schools, community centres, sports facilities, students, teachers and the Gardaí. No one is excluded. On-site or online, they bring expert training to you. Visit www.protrainingcourses.com or contact the office 047 88598. You're 18 years old when you're called out of class and told something is wrong with your father. Minutes later, you learn that he has died. He was just 35 years old. At his wake, surrounded by grief, you have a drink. And for the first time in a long time, the pain doesn't feel quite as heavy, so you drink again. What starts as a way of coping with grief and abandonment becomes something you can no longer control. My name is Carol McGirl. I'm a qualified nurse and health and safety trainer. I sit down with people who share valuable life experiences, giving us a glimpse of how they navigate life's most challenging moments with courage, honesty and hope. Together we explore topics around physical and mental health, resilience, first response and recovery, while discovering the lessons that can help us support ourselves and those around us when life takes an unexpected turn. In part one of this deeply personal conversation, I'm joined by Chris Redhead, who speaks openly about the reality of addiction, abandonment, bereavement, homelessness, and struggling with his mental health, and then reaching a point where he could no longer see a way forward.
Like, looking back at that moment, I always, not in a sinister way, but as one alcoholic died, and in that moment another one was born. My grandmother then came in the next day with flowers, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm not that sick, you don't have to bring me flowers. They were like, no, it's your mum's birthday. I was like, oh. It just showed how self-involved I was. I remember mum coming into the room and I was just sitting in the corner just crying and just covered in blood. I still have the scars and all, but they serve as reminders as well of what I came from.
But something beneath all of the pain that he'd experienced, there was still a part of Chris that wanted to live. We have Chris Redhead here, a 34-year-old man from Monaghan, and Chris and I met for the first time last week. We had a really nice chat, and God, you've got a great story to tell, you really do. So we met, and it was through actually Barry Ahi, who has a charity, LA 519. Chris, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, as you said, I am from Monaghan.
Yeah.
I was in Gaels Culloden and then I was in Colostorial.
Okay.
Yeah. And I work in Onyad. It's an Irish language cafe there just across from the chapel in town.
So it's Irish speaking?
Yeah. It's all the staff speak Irish. Everyone who comes in, they don't have to speak Irish.
Yeah.
I always say to them whenever they come in, look, just slán at the end, or Gura Maigat, and I'm happy enough. Because it's getting it out there.
Of course.
A lot of people in Monaghan, they do have the Irish somewhere in there, but then the nerves get a hold of them whenever they come through the door. So we kind of make them feel at ease with it.
Yes, very good.
So yeah, I'm a part of that.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you want to just tell us about your life journey?
Yeah.
If you're okay.
Of course, yeah. So as I said, I attended Colostorial and the teachers always had great love for me. But it was a bit of a class clown. Okay. Just the whole way through school. I had a wide circle of friends. Yeah. And then my main friends as well in my class who I was with since primary school. And everything kind of started when I was 18. And I remember it was a Friday. It was Friday the 19th of March that I was in woodwork. And my friend Gavin came over and said, oh, you're wanted in the office. And all the boys in the class were like, oh, because I was always in trouble anyway. Okay. And my grandmother was in the office and I got to my class. I just seen her in the office and my bag was packed for me. So I didn't know what was going on. And then my principal walked us out and he said, look, it's your father. There's something wrong. And I was like, okay, can we go say goodbye? And he hugged me and said, look, everything's going to be all right. And then my grandmother was like, sure, Mom will get in the car, we'll sort everything out. And then as soon as I get into the car.
What do you mean? Why are you saying, can we go say goodbye?
As in, because whenever he said there was something wrong, like I thought maybe right in hospital that he could be on his way out.
Okay.
So
had he been sick?
I hadn't seen him in a long time. I hadn't seen him in about 4 years.
Oh.
Yeah. And I knew he himself had a small bit of a drinking problem. And like he wasn't in good health either.
Okay.
My grandmother just said, look, we'll talk about it when we get in the car. And then we get in the car anyway, and she just told me, look, he died last night.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it was, yeah, he had a heart attack.
Okay.
And he was only 35 years old. Yeah. It was just, look, it was the lifestyle drink that he had. He was a hurt man himself.
Okay.
So he was an alcoholic himself.
Okay. And what was your relationship like with him growing up?
It was on and off. He left whenever I was 2. And then I used to go to him on the weekends. And there was some weekends now that he'd say he'd collect me and then he wouldn't turn up. Like it took me a long while to kind of understand that and realise that, why that was. But he was just an alcoholic himself. He was an addict himself.
Okay.
So like in my later years, like there was a lot of forgiveness there. Because obviously I went through the same thing myself. I chose drink over family.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was just, can't really understand it as a child. But then it kind of fixed itself when I got older. Yeah. So there wasn't really.
And was there siblings at home?
Not in my house, but I have 2 sisters on my dad's side that I'm very close to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Amy and Erin. So they were in the house, but then sure he ended up leaving her. And Louise is their mum.
Yeah.
And yeah, they live in Newry, just outside of Newry.
Okay.
And I'd be talking to them all the time. Yeah.
And what about your relationship with your mum growing up? Good?
It was good. Like mum raised me, like mum was a single mum. Like she was very good to me. Yeah. And then you see at 8 years old, then my stepfather came on the scene.
Oh.
Paul McGirl, yeah, great man.
Okay.
Like that's what I mean. It's like my father wouldn't show up on the Friday.
Yeah.
And then Paul would always pick up the pieces on the Saturday, take me to the cinema, take me and my cousin to the cinema. He was great. That don't take away from my biological father bringing me into the world, but Paul was the man who raised me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
you call him Dad?
When I want something. Yeah. Because I've grown up calling him Paul. Yes. But no, I have a 6-month-old at home there, and I was like, this is your granddaughter. Yeah. I can understand if there's not blood, but it doesn't take blood to make a father. Like he was great to me, and he still is. He's actually collecting me after this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Very good. Okay. Yeah. So you were happy, there was no issues growing up, apart from obviously what was going on with your dad?
Yeah, behavioural issues, just taking him into school and stuff. So that's why I was acting out in school. Yeah, but I was never a bad teenager or a bad child or anything.
Yeah.
I love being outside and playing and all, and I never really drank at all. I didn't start drinking until I was nearly 18. And then you see, after my father's wake, then obviously enough I was a bit sad and all. My father was there and drinking, because at any Irish wake, like that's what you do. And I was drinking away, and I felt myself being lifted, not being as sad.
Okay.
So in that moment, I thought I was the first person in the world to discover this. The kind of drink is making me happy, and it's kind of making me forget. Like looking back at that moment, I always like, not in a sinister way, but as one alcoholic died, and in that moment, another one was born. That's the way I look at it. Yeah. And I was just kind of, the torch was being passed. Yeah. Okay. And then it just kind of went from there. Yeah.
And what was that like?
It was, I didn't really realise it at the time. Like I had a chance to repeat the Leaving Cert. Glasgow was very good to me. And they gave me the chance to repeat because they thought I could do better in the Leaving Cert. Yeah. And went back and repeated. But what they didn't know was it was near enough drinking every morning. You could get like a bottle of wine, a Blossom Hill bottle, into, I don't know if you remember those bottles of Club Orange. There was 750ml.
Yes.
You can get a bottle of wine into that. So, and then I was putting the orange in to let on that it was orange, but I was drinking in school. A double woodwork, I remember being at the back of the class drinking.
So that was quite soon after your dad died. So you went from thinking that you discovered something on the day of the wake that nobody else discovered, that numbing. Yeah. And did you go straight into heavy drinking after that?
Wouldn't really be heavy drinking. It was just to ease the pain and not make me think about what was going on because I couldn't face it.
But even morning drinking at that point?
Yeah, I'm away to school, yeah. Yeah, I'm away to school and then in school.
Where would you get the drink?
Oh, sure was, at this time, like when I was writing the leaving cert, I was 18.
Yeah, to the shop in the
Yeah,
morning.
yeah. No, I'd get
Oh,
it the day
the night
before.
before.
No, yeah, of course, the night
Yeah.
before. It was all planned, and then I'd have a few ones hidden about the house and all, and yeah, a lot of, because at the time, like whenever my father passed away, there was, like I felt nothing. And then the drink came along, and like I wanted to feel something,
Yeah.
but I was just completely numb. I'll be honest in saying, and I hope just I'm allowed to say this, but there was self-harm involved as well. But it was just, I wanted to feel something.
Yes. So you were cutting yourself?
Yeah.
And was that something that started after your dad as well?
That was, and it wasn't as if I was punishing myself. It was just the craving to feel something.
You were so numb.
Yeah, like I remember my mum coming into the room and I was just sitting in the corner just crying and just covered in blood. I still have the scars and all, but they serve as reminders as well of what I came from.
Okay, how did you get on with the leaving certs? And
got on well.
Yeah.
Because they gave me the best opportunity Close Doriel did, and they gave me the best help.
Yeah.
And they pushed me and I got a good leaving cert, and then I got Letterkenny. Yeah, and then I went to Letterkenny and it was multimedia.
Okay.
But yeah, that time I picked multimedia thinking I have the Irish, I want to get on TV, so I'm going to do multimedia. But that's not what multimedia is. Media is getting on the TV, but multimedia is just computers and all. So I decided, you know what, this is freedom up here. It's out of Monaghan, it's out of my parents' house. I'm just going to stay up here, try and go to as many classes as I can and just drink. Yeah. So the drinking then got out of hand up there. Like where it was, like I said, it could be a bottle of wine, it could be 8 cans, and then 8 cans led to 4 cans and half a bottle of vodka, and then drinking vodka when I was out. Yeah. It just spiraled out of control. Like I always say, I went to Letterkenny Institute of Technology in hopes of a degree. I came back with an addiction. Yeah. Alcohol problem. Yeah.
And did you do much of the college, or how long did you stay in Letterkenny?
Stayed as long as I could to get through. It was near enough planned. We can do this, get to the exams, and pass the exams at Christmas. I'll get this far, and that'll get me to the end of the year so I can stay up here. And then it was just after Christmas, boom, it just went downhill. Because I knew I didn't have to try then. I'd have to go to class till the end of the year, but I didn't go in. Okay. Because then the drinking just got out of hand.
And you didn't finish college then?
No. I was done. I failed everything after Christmas, so I couldn't. And they offered repeats, but I was like, no, I'll just go back to Monaghan. I'm not interested. Yeah.
So back to Monaghan, and then back to your parents' house?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was good because they didn't see it as anything big. Because at that time I was only 20 years old. Yeah. He's drinking, he's going out at the weekends. They didn't see how much I was drinking. Yeah. You near enough hide it from them. And even, I always thought, even at that time, like how could I be an alcoholic at that time? Because I was only drinking at the weekend. But you can be an alcoholic at the weekend if you're binge drinking and it doesn't agree with your head.
Oh, so you weren't drinking in the day at this?
No, kind of. So I was working as well. Yes. And I remember getting a job out in Topaz. And money was coming in. So it was going on buying drink. And then I ended up staying out. I'd finish the shift at 10 or 11 o'clock and I'd have to be in the next morning at about 12. So I'd be out drinking, coming in the same uniform. And either hungover or drunk or just not in the right mindset. But obviously I never held down a job. Yes. It's funny, anytime I give my CV to anyone, like looking jobs, I always tell them, look, I got sober in 2017. And they're like, oh, that's why there's more steady jobs. Yeah, because before 2017, it's a lot of jobs. Because I've done that with a lot of people and they're like, okay, now I understand you stayed in this place for a long time because you don't drink anymore. I was like,
you're sober.
Yeah, then just kind of everything just spiraled out of control. It honestly did. And I remember I was going with a girl from RD and she had enough of me and I don't blame her. I was taking her down this path. I was able to play the sub story. And when my father passed away and like I need to forget myself and stuff like that. So she was sending me money and stuff.
Even after you finished?
No, it was before, but then like as soon as she broke up with me, my first thought was, where am I going to get the money now? Not the fact that I was with this girl for 3 years and that's gone, but it's where the drink takes you.
Yeah. And you were unemployed at this stage?
Yeah.
And what was Paul and your mum thinking? Had they noticed?
No, not really.
Okay.
They just thought maybe I was a bit lost. They didn't really see the extent of the drink because I was able to hide it very well. Yeah. Then it was a few weeks of drinking, and then I remember I came up to Easter break and I was out on the Thursday night, out on the Friday night, and then my stepfather and all, we were all going up to Letterkenny for like go-karting, and my stepfather was like, you're not drinking today, don't be drinking, just give yourself a break from it. And then sure, my uncle was there and goes, no, let him drink. And then Shy was downstairs in the pub because we were upstairs getting pints and then we stopped in Asda on the way home and got drink, and then drinking on the Saturday and then drinking on the Sunday up at a house up on the Pound Hill there, and then drinking just all day. And I just decided, I fell asleep I think for an hour, and then I woke up and I went down to McKenna's. It was about 9 o'clock. And I remember walking into McKenna's and Shamey behind the bar was like, I'm not serving you. Because he seen I was loaded drunk. And I remember even walking around people, oh, will you go up and get me a drink? And just, it was like as if, like I could never properly black out. I have all the memories. I still have all the pictures of the people's faces of kind of disgust because it was dishevelled. It was, yeah, it was horrible. But then they were like, no. So it was only about 9:30. So I went out the road anyway. And I got
Drive?
No, I walked.
Oh, okay.
And I got an agony on the way out the road. And I was drinking on the road, out the road, and I was like, you know what, I'm not for this world. I goes, I can't see any way out of this. I'm tired, I'm sick of this. So I decided on my way out the road, I'm going to plan how I'm going to take my own life. So I was on the way out the road anyway, and Mum was up in bed sleeping. And I went up to her and I sat at the end of her bed and I woke her up and I just said, look, this world isn't for me. I goes, things didn't work out the way I wanted them to work out. And I don't know a way out of this. So I think I'm just done. I'm just going to call it.
What was your mother's approach?
She was just telling me not to do it, don't do it. And as I was standing at the door at the stage because she was getting up and I didn't want her to kind of grab me, and then she was crying. And even my younger brother, he's 20 now, he can still remember it. So he can still remember it. Okay. And that whole situation. And I left the house, and my stepfather was the delivery driver at the time. And she rang him straight away and he came flying out the road, and Troy was crossing the road. And I just went up into the forest. The plan was, so I went to the forest across the road, that I was going to end my life by hanging.
Okay.
And I planned with my
You were 20, sorry for
24, 23 at this stage. Yeah. And I'd made the plan. I'd picked a song that I wanted to go out to. So I found a place in the forest and I looked down at my shoes, and I was wearing slip-on shoes. So there was no laces, and I was kind of thinking, is there a plan up there to try and keep me here? And then looked around, put on my song, looked around, found the vine of a tree. So I put the vine of a tree around, pulled on it a lot, it was strong enough, and wrapped it around my neck and just let my knees go. And the only thing I can remember after that is the light from the garden with the wee torch that they have was being shone into my eyes. And then I was carried to the ambulance.
So how did the guards get there? Or
the music.
So your mum rang the guards?
Yeah, Mum rang the guards straight away. And because my father was coming out the road, he seen me going into the forest. So, yeah. And they just followed the music. And it was Adele, When We Were Young. That was the song I wanted to go out to.
And can you remember how you felt?
After I woke up and I was in the ambulance, I felt disappointed that I was still here. And that's being honest. I'm going to have to go through the effort again of doing this. I always thought in my head at that time, if you can see it, just like a light switch, that I could just end my life, I would have pressed it. It's just I didn't see a way out of what I was going through.
And were drugs involved?
Yeah. And drugs were involved because the drink wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. And I wanted to bring drugs into it because I just wanted to get as far away from my own head as possible. Just get away from myself.
And when did drugs come into it? Like,
it just filtered in. I know that sounds a bit odd, but it just filtered in naturally. I just thought, you know what, I'll try something like smaller drugs like weed. I tried that. I was like, okay, I didn't really like that. And then I just jumped straight away to cocaine. Yeah.
And you taking cocaine a lot, or?
Yeah. And yeah.
Just weekends, or?
No, during the week as well. Especially during the summer there, I'd be meeting up with the boys. And I'd have a bottle of Buckfast for myself and getting ready. And then while I was ready, I'd sit and have another bottle of Buckfast, then have a few lines of coke before I meet the boys, then kind of straighten myself out. And then I'd be drinking then, and yeah. Just, it was my life at that time.
And did your friends know?
Yeah, they kind of knew because of my eyes and then the way, it's the stereotypical thing, the jaw goes and everything.
Yeah.
And it got to a stage where my friends could even tell I had a few drinks in me, because your brain does this thing where whenever you drink, it knows that you're going to be taking drugs. So it does the jaw and the dry lips and then the eyes and everything. So they knew whenever I had a few drinks in me as well. Yeah. They tried to talk to me. A lot of people did try and talk to me. But it was, if I couldn't see it myself at the time.
So then you were admitted to hospital, I take it, after that?
Psychiatric unit.
Where?
Yeah, in Cavan.
What was that like?
It was fine. I was coming back to myself a wee bit, and they tried to explain to me, look, it might be just depression through alcohol. I was like, no. I was like, you might be an alcoholic. No. The age of me, an alcoholic, no. I've only been drinking a few years. Like when I was 21, I lived with my grandmother, and she said, look, I think you have an addiction. She goes, you can come live with me if you go to meetings. So I was going to meetings at 21 years old. Mind you, might be a bit cocky of myself, but I'm 35 and I look young enough for 35. So at 21, I was like a baby going in there. And I just wasn't ready at the time.
And you wouldn't see that much in it, young, that young.
That young, yeah.
Yeah.
But then while I was in the psychiatric unit, they just said, I think alcohol is a problem. I was like, no, I don't think so. And look, they were right at the end of the day. But 3 or 4 days later, I was coming back to myself. I was eating there and everything, but then I was let out again.
Were you put on antidepressants or anti-anxiety or referred to psychiatrist or nothing?
No.
Just let you go?
Yeah, let me go. I was on a bus back to Monaghan.
How was your mum and Paul?
I wasn't living with them.
Right. Where were you living?
I was homeless, I'll be honest. Yeah, no fixed abode. Yeah, I even remember they had to, like whenever they were releasing me from the hospital, they had to ring the county council, and the county council had to ring a B&B, and then the hospital then had to ring the B&B to make sure that I wasn't going to try anything in the B&B. Obviously enough to protect themselves.
Yeah.
And no, was in a B&B just for a week. Yeah.
After hospital?
Yeah. And then just back out in the streets again. Living in abandoned houses and just staying with friends. Like pretending we'd be out drinking with friends and then going back to their house and drinking, and then I'd be pretending to fall asleep on the couch so that they wouldn't have to wake me, so I'd have a place to stay for the night. So a lot of shame involved in it. And then once I'd go to bed, I'd just get up and start drinking again. Or just keep drinking. Yeah. So that went on for a wee while as well.
For how long?
I'd say about a year or so.
And was there any suicidal thoughts then after the first attempt?
There was then a second attempt. I called to Mum's house beforehand. And I remember arguing with them, like, you have to take me back in the house, I'm your son and everything. And I start blaming my mum and stepfather for my addiction. It's a thing, I think, like in that moment, I blamed everyone else but myself. And yeah, I got a rope in the shed and I left the house, and I goes, good luck. I goes, if you can't take me back, I'm just going to end things. And I remember sitting in that wee abandoned house that I was sleeping in. And if you could imagine, like there's a roof on it and everything, but there's nothing in it. It's just all concrete and all. And then there was like a bricks either side and then a plank of wood. That's the plank of wood I was sleeping on. And I was just sitting there. It was one of those really dated phones because it was a good few years ago. And just, yeah, this must be it. And I was just looking around me like, this is my life. This is my life. Yeah. So then I made another attempt and it didn't work. And it just, the rope snapped again. Yeah. And
thank God.
Yeah, but it's just at that time, I'm like the second time doing it, I didn't think at the time there's somebody looking out for me. I just thought at that time, I'm a failure trying to do this as well. I failed at everything else and I can't even do this right. So I remember even beating the glass. There was glass on the ground of bottles and everything, and then my hands just being covered in blood. And I was like, I'll go back to Mum's and just talk to them. So I put my hands in my pockets, go walking through town, and walked out to my mum's house, and the guards were there.
She'd rang the guards after you'd left.
And it was guard Stella Feeney that was there.
I know Stella.
Yeah, and they didn't.
She's lovely.
Yeah, they didn't arrest me or anything, and I just got in the back of their van. It was a big van, and it was kind of funny being in the back of it because usually if it was a car, it's fine, but then the big van. And then I remember her taking me back to the station and chatting to me about everything, and her even saying as well, like Stella even saying as well, I think it's an addiction you have. And yeah.
Had you been in trouble with the guards at all?
Because I worked in Topaz, I knew a lot of the guards.
Yeah.
And on the street and all, I knew a lot of the guards had seen me drinking and all, or there's times I've been loaded drunk and I've been arrested a few times for being drunk on the streets.
Yeah.
But no, they were very nice. There's another guard. He arrested me one night for my own safety because I was very drunk. And then sure, the next morning I woke up with like a cup of coffee and sure, still out the back with him. And it was like, I asked him for a cigarette and all, and it was a cup of coffee and a cigarette. And sure, like I was standing there in my socks just outside the guard station in town. and I was having a laugh with him, and he was just chatting to me. Nothing happened, kind of. Like I was even slagging him, saying, "Oh, what would you do now if I ran?" He was arresting you. They were always, yeah, they're always very good to me.
Yeah.
There was never any bother with them. And I was very cheeky with them at times. There was one time I remember being drunk and just chatting to them in Irish. The way you hear that rule where if you talk to a guard in Irish, they have to respond to you in Irish and stuff.
Okay.
Silly things like that. So obviously in my silly head when I was drunk, I'd be drunk just singing in the cells. But no, they're always, I have to say, they're always very nice to me. They're always looking out for me.
Did you tell them that you had attempted
Yeah,
suicide?
especially Stella there. And Stella, she did try and help a lot. And then eventually, like whenever I did get sober, I wrote a letter to Stella and left it in the guard station to her, thanking her and all. Yeah, she's always about the town. I always meet her. I met her there 3 weeks ago with Jane and my girlfriend.
Yes. Oh.
And yeah, and I introduced her
So
to
Jane's
Jane.
your baby.
Yeah. So I introduced her to Jane, and I said, "You're a part of this."
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
She can't take the compliment though. She's humble about everything.
I know.
Yeah, I meet her all the
wonderful.
time. Yeah, no, she is honestly lovely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you do then after that night? Did you go to the doctor?
No, it was still, I was like, I've run out of money here. I need to try and find a job and stuff. So I was living at a friend's house, just sleeping on his couch. And I went into the West End then to look for a job. And they seen my surname, Redhead. So my uncle's a chef as well.
Okay.
They seen the name and they were like, okay, we'll bring him in as a chef. So I was working there getting money, but then I'd get money in and go drinking with it and not even texting people as well about coming in, just not showing up. Well, the head chef there and Frank McNaney, they gave me like all the chances in the world.
You got on well?
Yeah. And then it was on then the 23rd of June. Everything just came to a head.
What year? You were how old? What year was that?
I was 25 and it was 2017, 23rd of June. And I remember just drinking all day. And it was the same thing, started on a Thursday. And was at a party. And all these different things, there was drugs involved and all. And I remember just being back at a friend's house. And I remember sitting, just drinking cans of Hackenberg. And I could even picture myself now. And I was like, nah, I think I'm just going to call it now.
What do you mean, try to end your life?
I was like, it's just going to be like, that's it. And I remember it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to go into the casino here. Because the casino, you could pay in.
Yeah.
And I had a phone at the time. And I was like, look, I'm going to give them a phone. So then they'd have to give me money from my phone. And then I'd be able to buy a drink with that. And that's the way, that doesn't make sense. But in the mind of an alcoholic, that makes sense. And then, I'll be honest, I was walking around town and there was something in my head saying, go talk to your mum. You need to go talk to your mum. So I remember walking out the road and like my mind was fully sober, but my body wasn't. It was kind of swaying. There was like a 80-20 in my head where 80% was telling me about the bad stuff that I am and the bad stuff that I've done. And the 20% was like, no, you're good for this place. You can do a lot of good things. And it was fighting each other. And then I landed to Mum's house. I think it was about 4:30 in the morning. I knocked on the door and she came down and answered and I just fell through the door. And at this time, like I'm sitting in front of you now, I'm 13.5 stone. At that time I was 8.5. And Mum hadn't seen me in a long time.
How long had it been?
I think over a year, maybe. Yeah, just kind of.
You hadn't attempted to contact her?
No, because it was hard for me, but it was harder for her. Because in the house, I was never abusive or anything, never laid my hands, but Mum always would say that I could cut you in two with words, things that I would say. I was a bad person in that way. Don't get me and Mum are like that. Now there's a lot of building bridges. But yeah, it was on 23rd of June, I just landed in the house and I remember just in the sitting room, like up and curled up in the ball like a child, crying. I remember then getting up and Mum was like, look, you can stay here for the night, but in the morning we'll talk about it. And then standing out the back, and I remember even trying to roll a rollie for myself, just tears going into it. And then I remembered in my head, I have a can hidden somewhere. So I left the house again. I went and got that can. And
where did you have the can hidden?
We live on the Clonus Road, so it was across the road in Cortalvin. So around the corner, so I can picture it, I had it in the ditch there.
Why did you have it in the ditch?
I don't know, because I thought I was going back to that friend's house. So I didn't want him to drink the cans.
Okay.
So I had to hide some. Yeah, that's just the way the brain works at the time. And I was like, I have a can hidden there, I'm going to go back and get it. So I went back and got it, and I was drinking it. And I was standing at the canal. And I was looking into it. And I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to throw myself in this. I can't swim. So I was like, I'm going to throw myself in this. This is how I'll end everything. And again, something in my head was like, no, you didn't even say goodbye to your mum. You just left the house. That's what I mean. That 20% that was fighting against me was saying you didn't even say goodbye. Like, imagine
You
how
always wanted your mum before.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. And went to the house and mum was there. And mum had went to bed at this stage, but she was back down. I walked in, she was like, give me a minute. Rang. No, he's home now. The garbs again. And I sat down and started talking about my father. And it then came out, why didn't he want me? What's wrong with me? Yeah. So...
Is that the first time you talked to your mum really about your dad?
Not really. I've tried to talk, but it was hard for me to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it was even hard for me to talk to counsellors about it.
Yeah.
I remember going to a grievance counsellor. And it might be my ignorance at the time, but it was like I asked the grievance counsellor, oh, how's your father? And she's like, yeah, he's good, why? I was like, then how can you understand what I'm going through? I lost my father. How can you understand where I'm coming from when your father is alive and well? And then I left and never went back.
Yeah.
It was something hard for me to understand at that time when I was 19. But yeah, I did ask mum why did my father never want me. And mum just said, look, there's two options here. It goes, there's a place that I found, it's Coonmurra, or there's a psychiatric unit in
And
Cavan.
just explain what's...
Coonmurra is basically an addiction centre, and Coonmurra is run by Sister Concilio. She founded it years and years ago.
And who's she?
She's a nun who spotted this stuff in addiction years and years ago. She believes in everyone, and everyone can get sober. She believes in that. She believes in hope for everyone. And her addiction centre started just in a shed out the back of someone's house. Like where she used to just bring in men that were suffering from addiction. I think this is going back to the 50s and 60s.
Okay.
Yeah. And then she started her centres from there. And there's one in Ballybay there. And yeah, it's great.
Is there a few of them?
Oh, there's loads of them. Hey, there's a few down the country. The one I went to, I went to Athenry in Galway.
Okay.
And then there's one in Bury. There's one in Limerick. There's one in Cork. They are everywhere. But not many people know about them. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I think that's why I love speaking about it.
Yes.
Because to show people that the option's there.
Yes.
But that was one of the options that my mum found out for me.
Okay.
And either that or the psychiatric unit
In Cavan.
So I just thought to myself, do you know what? I'm tired. I give up. I just give up. And my grandmother then came in the next day with flowers. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm not that sick. You don't have to bring me flowers. They were like, no, it's your mum's birthday. I said, oh. It just showed how self-involved I was.
Yeah.
Didn't even know mum's birthday.
Yeah.
She still says it's one of the best birthday presents she's ever gotten, me getting sober. Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
stop. You're going to have me in tears.
No, don't.
I'm tearing up.
Don't. And then we were in the car. I'll be honest, my grandmother is not a good driver. My mum doesn't drive, but my grandmother's not a good driver.
Okay.
So we were on the way up to Ballybay. And a small part of me was coming back to myself, so I have a good sense of humour towards things.
Yeah.
So I was holding on to the side of the car in the back and I was like, Nana, please stay out of the ditches. I do actually. I've decided I want to live now. Having a laugh with her. She'd be like, shut up, you in the back.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I'm very close with them.
Yes.
Very close with my Nana. And they asked me. They had to ask me. They were like, we understand it was drink, but were you doing drugs? And I was like, yeah. And then mum looked around. She was like, oh yeah, doing cocaine. And I was like, yeah. I was like, what? I never knew. Only because they thought it was just I was drinking and I lost all the weight.
Oh.
But I wasn't eating at all. Like I was like a skeleton. Even the picture I showed you the last day of how skinny I was. Yeah. And yeah, then went up to speak to Charlie up in Coonmurra in Ballybay. And he got the ball rolling on getting me a place. He put himself out there ringing around, getting me a place, and he got me a place then in Galway. So then I had to go into the doctors and get signed off on everything and yeah, get my Librium as well.
Okay.
It's just tablets that you take to kind of, where you don't get the
DTs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, from drink.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then that was the start of it. And
sobriety.
Haven't looked back since.
Oh my God. And that was 9 yeyears on.
Yeah, 9 years ago.
Wow, Chris. Yeah. So Chris, can I just ask you, that's something that I've wondered.
Yeah.
When you tried to end your life, was that frightening?
Relief. As odd as it sounds, relief. because I knew then the pain was going to stop. Like the pain that I was feeling inside my head, just inside my body. It's just, like, how can I explain it? It's like being in a room full of people and just feeling so alone. Like feeling that you have nobody to turn to, feeling stuck in the mud. Like there's nobody that I can turn to here that's going to help me, that's going to take me from this. And I will be honest in saying, like I've said this a few times as well to people, that my father died at 35 years old and he was taken. God took him. That's the way I was looking at that time. God took him. And this is my kind of, if I can say it, my middle finger to God, that you're not going to take me, I'm going to take myself. So it was like an anger thing as well. So it was,
I'm going to make the decision.
Yeah, I'm making the decision. This is in my hands. It's the only thing that I have control of right now is just this. And then obviously along with the pain. Like I remember somebody like asking me before, what would happen if you went back on the drink? And I said, if I willingly went back on the drink, I won't be here anymore. And that's being honest.
You will die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whether it be through the drink or through taking my own life,
okay,
I can't afford to go back to that person.
Yeah.
Like that person, I know it sounds very odd, but that person's dead now.
Yeah.
The old me is, yeah, don't get me wrong, I embrace him of everything that he's taught me. But if I go back to that and he goes, oh, you can't be thinking of that. And then he said about suicide being selfish. And I did explain it to him. And I goes, look, the way it is, and I did say to him, and I hope you never feel this, but a lot of people do. And I said, so if you have a toothache, which you do, all you're thinking of is you want that pain to stop. You want that tooth out. That's all you're thinking. You're not going to care what your mum's going to think if you've one less tooth. You're not going to think what your father, your brother, your friends. Yeah. All you're thinking of is that pain stopping. And that's exactly what suicide's like. You just want that pain to stop. And he just stood there and was like, okay.
And did you believe in afterlife? Did you think that...
I didn't really believe in anything.
Were you afraid of the unknown?
Not really. As I said, like it was just more relief. I won't be here anymore. And that's, as odd as that sounds, like the mindset at that time was, I'm not going to be here anymore. I don't have to feel this.
And you're here. Yeah. But on the next episode, we're going to talk about your journey with recovery and how you changed your life around. So Chris, thank you for sharing your story with such honesty and rawness and openness. It's just really great, and I'll be so looking forward to hearing all about your recovery and how you adapted and everything. So thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
And God, you're inspirational. You really are. Yes. You're absolutely brilliant.
I love telling my story because it'll hit on somebody.
Yes.
Because somebody has lost a father and might turn to drink. Somebody's going through what I went through. So it's always the reason why I'm going to tell my story, because it can fall on the right ears at the right time.
Yes.
So thank you.
Okay, thanks a million. As I come to the end of today's episode, Chris's story has brought me back once again to the work of Dr. Stephen Purges and the polyvagal theory. I often simplify this theory by imagining that as we travel through life, we can find ourselves on 3 different roads. The bright, sunny road, the road of safety, love and connection. It's where we feel calm, where we can connect with the people around us, and where our nervous system feels safe and regulated. But unfortunately, none of us gets to stay on that road all of the time. Life happens, trauma happens, loss happens. And sometimes our nervous system takes us onto another road, a road of thunder and lightning. This is our fight or flight response, where we feel anxious, frightened, angry, agitated, and constantly on alert. And for a time, that response can actually help us survive what is actually happening around us. But we cannot live there forever. When being on this road becomes too much for our bodies and our minds, we find ourselves on a third road, a dark, cloudy road of disconnection, where we feel numb, disinterested, sad and alone. And listening to Chris today, I hear so much of that road in his story. He speaks about feeling empty, alone, sad, disconnected, and sometimes simply feeling nothing at all. He spoke incredibly openly about self-harm, alcohol and drugs, and about desperately trying to find a way back to feeling something again. He also spoke about reaching a point where he no longer wanted to be here and he wanted his life to be over. But what I really want us to remember is that Chris's story didn't end on that road. With support from his family and through his own courage, honesty and acceptance that something needed to change, Chris began to find another way forward. And that journey back was not easy. In part 2, Chris is going to share that journey with us, what changed, where he found help, and how he began to navigate his way towards a different road. And perhaps there's somebody listening today who recognises themselves in some part of Chris's story. If there is, I hope this story reminds you that where you are today does not necessarily have to be where you stay. There can be another road. Before I finish, there's another thing from our conversation that has really stayed with me, and that is the language that Chris used when speaking about suicide. You'll notice he didn't use the phrase committed suicide. The word commit can carry association with crime, wrongdoing, guilt and shame. Instead, he used words like died by suicide, attempted suicide, or that he wanted his life to be over. Someone who reaches that point doesn't need to be judged or shamed. They need compassion, support. They need to know that help is there. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Chris for trusting us with his story. Thank you for your openness, honesty, and your vulnerability. And most of all, thank you for being willing to come back and share with us what happened next. To everyone listening, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and remember, whatever road you find yourself on today, it doesn't have to be the road that you stay on. Thank you for listening to SatNaving Life, the podcast for navigating life's journeys. Until next time, take care.